The Arctic Race of Norway is here, and predictably UNOX bring the strongest team overall in the race. A little bit of scenic shots, the race above the Arctic Circle, the weather is good, over 20 degrees, and we're in Bodo, which is the European capital of culture. I mean, some people say that aficionados of this channel, and this channel itself is the world capital of culture, but I guess we can give Bodo the European capital. Chris Froome here, on his way to the Tour de France next year, and Alexander Kristoff, the big superstar. He always wins a stage in the Tour of Norway, usually in Stavanger, and let's see if he can win a stage here, especially stage 1, 157 Ks, a grippy sprint stage with an 8K, 4% climb, about 30 Ks from the finish. Breakaway up the road, Encorn probably the strongest on Lotto Destiny, and UNOX allow that gap to go out a little bit. They'll have the responsibility to control the breakaway. Probably Arkea as well wanted to go for a sprint with Biermans, and Total with Genier, and we've got some reindeer. I think it's reindeer. That one looks like, I don't know if it's young or molting. Some of the others have a lighter coat there. And we're in like national forest area. It looks pretty good, to be honest. I reckon get me out there on a holiday next year. I need a holiday. We've gone from Tour de France men straight to Olympics, Tour de France Femmes next week, then Vuelta, but, you know, Arctic Race, the grind set never stops, and you degenerates need some additional content. And we're coming up to that climb, and attacks come from Cope Repsol, riders obviously not wanting to go for a sprint, and Jaco Alula starts pacing. I'm like, I'm looking through their style list, they don't have a sprinter? Why are they pacing the 8K 4% climb? And the answer was there's an intermediate sprint that gives 3, 2, and 1 bonus seconds on this climb. They see Rasmus Tiller, the big unit, positioning who? Positioning Leknesund, or positioning Abrahamsen, who we saw from the Tour, or positioning Magnus Cort? The answer was Magnus Cort. Schmidt on the left, you might not have seen him much for Jaco Alula. He didn't race much this year, their new signing in the Swiss Natty Champs jersey. He's on the wheel of Magnus Cort, and so I don't know if UNOX got Cort to take the points because he's their GC guy for this race, which is plausible with these short hills, or whether they are going for Leknesund but Cort's best place to take the points away from the other riders. But Schmidt is the GC option, and he's a big chance to win this race for Jaco Alula. Very, very good course for him. It's been won by riders like Ben Hermans, I think, twice in the past. Those sort of punchers with a bit of a sprint on them, because we don't typically have long climbs in the Arctic Race of Norway. But this is going to be a sprint. None of the attacks stuck. UNOX got the strongest team. They want to shut it down for a sprint for Alexander Kristoff, and that's why we see Tiller actually pacing really early. So, like, not really part of the leader. That's the surprising thing. They got Tiller early. Then I think it's Hulgaard next in the Norwegian national champs jersey. Then Magnus Cort will be the last man for Alexander Kristoff. Now, I don't know whether that's because Magnus Cort is indeed their GC rider, and it's too risky to use him early in this fashion, like Hulgaard. On the right-hand side, you can see the Arkea train for Jente Biermans, who he wins .pro races. He won in Tour of Oman recently, which is actually a very similar parcours, around the Yiti Hills and those sort of 2K 6% climbs, or then a short descent to the finish. So actually very similar in a .pro categorization as well. But yeah, it's Abrahamsen now, third last. Abrahamsen, then Cort, then Kristoff. Abrahamsen was in this role in the Tour de France a couple of weeks ago, and he gets a gap here. Gets a gap to the Arkea leader, and we saw in the Tour, you don't want to give this man a gap off the wheel, and even though he doesn't look like he's pushing that hard, he basically completely bins the Arkea leader, man. He doesn't even realize he has him off the wheel, and maybe if he did know, he would keep pushing on. I think now he maybe does realize he gets a gap, and the Arkea rider about now is going to look underneath his legs and say to the rider behind him, it's time for you to jump, because I'm not closing that gap to Abrahamsen. I don't think it was Biermans on his wheel. If it was, then he's been left in a very, very difficult spot. I don't think it is. And then you've got Cort looking. He's in the perfect position. Abrahamsen's put him in the perfect position. The Arkea rider's finished. He's basically done the lead out for them, and then Cort begins his lead out. It looks very skinny for a lead-out man, doesn't he? Like Tiller and sort of Ricard, the typical lead-out man, but Cort's such a versatile sprinter. And just make a note of this. Compare it to the Tour de France. Kristoff starts his sprint in the middle. He could have gone to the barriers, perfectly fine. Cort left the space from there, but he goes the other way. And he starts his sprint in the middle. And in the Tour de France, these guys were getting done for this. And I'm just highlighting the inconsistency of the application of those rules. The Tour, the commissaires were getting it absolutely 100% correct. Christoph's moved from middle to left. There's enough space for Genier, who's actually been very good on this sort of circuit, the .pro and .1 circuit this year for Total. There's enough space for him there, and Christoph moves again. In the Tour, Demar did the same move to Van Aert. Exact same, even less of a movement, honestly, and he got done. Now, there's no overhead, so I don't know if Genier was going to be able to come through and win. Probably not, to be honest, but that's not the point. Christoph wins, but I'm just highlighting that, yeah, compared to the Tour de France, that were on the Tour de France application of rules, that's a clear relegation, but maybe not for the home man in the home crowd in the home race. Alexander Christoph wins ahead of Fretin, who snuck through on the outside. Van Asbrook third, Genier boxed in fourth, then Biermans, Canter, Magnus Cort, Fabio Christen, De Wilde and Kopecky rounding out the top 10. Here's what Christoph had to say after the stage.
I feel good, actually. Coming out of the Tour, shape is good. It was a bit hard in the climb, but I knew from training I should survive it because I saw the power was less than what I did home, so I knew I could do it. But and still, you need to be able to finish it off. But I felt the team brought me in a really good spot coming into the last few 100 meters, and I could wait and start. I think just at the right time. There was some guys coming a little bit on the side, but I felt it was under control.
Please describe to us, because we have seen the UNOX team leading the peloton for most of the race. It has been an impressive team performance.
Yeah, we put Rasmus to control. We have a really strong squad there, but we don't really have like pure helpers. It's more or less the top team. So yeah, Rasmus had to do a bit of the main work today. It was a bit unusual job for him, but he was so strong he could actually do it alone. So it was an impressive display from him, and that saved the rest of the team. So we had a lot of manpower in the final.
First stage, first win. You will be in the Midnight Sun jersey tomorrow. What would be a good outcome for UNOX from here to the end of the race? What do you want to achieve?
I want personally to try to win again tomorrow, but for sure for the team the main goal is the GC. That's going to be more difficult maybe. There's two stages, the two last day that is harder, with a harder finish, and yeah, we will see. Also tomorrow can be a bit hard because the start is really tough, so maybe a strong breakaway, so we need to be ready for that as well. But we have good guys that can infiltrate a potential breakaway tomorrow morning also, so I'm not too afraid, but for me to defend the jersey will be hard.
Congratulations on today's performance, and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Tomorrow we start with a really difficult climb, and then there's either gravel or pave or something in the last third of the race. Should be an interesting stage, and I'll bring you the recap of that tomorrow evening. Until then, ciao.